Rick Grenell's joining us now. So I want to go to Rick right away because on COVID, we have the shift that you were talking about yesterday, Rick, on this broadcast that the intelligence community needs to take this over, needs to do the investigation, report on the origins of COVID. That would take the intelligence community. And then the pressure is so high on the Biden administration, literally a couple hours after we were off the air, the statement comes out from President Biden that he's given the intelligence community 90 days, Rick, to figure out the origins of COVID. And they're also open to the idea, of course, of this lab theory. Walk people through. So what would this be like now? Would this go to the Director of National Intelligence who would then kind of farm different pieces of this out? Or is there one agency within the intel world that takes the lead here?
So first of all, let me just back up a quick second, Jordan. When President Biden made this announcement, my phone was blowing up with current intelligence officials who were pointing out how outrageous it was that Joe Biden was instructing them to do something that they do every day. Remember when Donald Trump did this, there were all sorts of mainstream media stories saying, Donald Trump is instructing the intelligence community to do something that they do every day. Matter of fact, when I was acting DNI and we did the statement in April of 2020, there's a line in the statement. And again, this public statement, I tweeted this out. You can go to my Twitter page, my feed, and see exactly the statement from DNI. It's still up on the DNI website. And in this statement, I let stand a statement that was from the career intelligence officials, and they were adamant about making the point that every single day they are researching and trying to find the evidence for any issue, not just where COVID started, but any issue that relates to U.S. national security. They did not want to be instructed. They wanted to say, we don't need to be instructed to find the origins. We, of course, are doing this every single day. So fast forward to Joe Biden doing it, and of course, I haven't seen a single media outlet have the same standard for trying to be outraged about this. But it still stands, the point still stands, that the intelligence community every day has been looking since last year, since the April 2020 statement. They've been looking at the origins of where COVID started. They do this every day, and they know a whole bunch. I'm actually concerned that Joe Biden is instructing the intelligence community to do a review when they've been doing this review and they know. Why doesn't Joe Biden know what the intelligence community has been looking at and briefing since last year?
Yeah, he doesn't want to know. I mean, my speculation here, Rick, is that he doesn't want to know because none of the answers on any of this fit the narrative of what they want. So none of it fits the narrative. So it's like put your head in the sand and maybe in 90 days, hopefully it'll come out with a different response, which it's not because even look, we put a lot of pressure. Your statements were very strong. Even the mainstream media, some of them were putting pressure on, not most of them, but a couple of them. And then, of course, they know what's happened here. I mean, this is like we're saying, now we're going to investigate to find out what happened as if your former colleagues don't know what happened.
Exactly. And I think, Jay, we should go to the next step and we should call on the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, to answer the question, why is Joe Biden in the dark? Why doesn't he know what the intelligence community knows since last year? Why haven't they been briefing the President of the United States on the origins of COVID? We know, we've known since last year. Why doesn't Joe Biden know? Why is he asking for a review that has been already done and the information is known?
Rick, another issue that popped up, we were just talking about with one of our attorneys, Jeff Balaban, but it's the announcement of the aid to the Palestinians, $360 million, comes right after a conflict started by Hamas. But then second, the reopening of a consulate in the same city where we have our embassy. There's people talking about the legal implications of that, but also the signal this sends to the world that you've got inside a country, a consulate for a separate territory, if you will, that's foreign to that country, but also the message that it sends.
Well, look, you're not supposed to have a consulate in the city where there's an embassy. And so the question needs to be asked of the Biden administration, when you open up a consulate in Jerusalem, are you saying that the embassy is not based in Jerusalem? You can't have it both ways. And so, once again, we're here asking the media to actually hold the same standard, do your job, ask these tough questions. Why is there a consulate and an embassy in Jerusalem?
I know the answer to that question, and that the concerning answer to that question is that consulate was a hotbed of anti-Israel and anti-Jewish sentiment. I used to walk by that consulate, and it's 2.7 miles between the consulate and the embassy, and our office is kind of right in between both. And this is a political move that has repercussions for how the embassy is now perceived, because the one thing that these people in the State Department never wanted to see was an embassy from the United States in the Jewish heartland, in the Jewish capital of Jerusalem. They never wanted to see that, Rick, and now they are trying to diffuse it with this consulate.
President Trump and David Friedman, our U.S. ambassador to Israel, cleaned up the consulate of all of the anti-Israel Foreign Service officers. And let's be clear, everyone at the State Department knew that if you worked at the consulate in Jerusalem, you had to be totally pro-Palestinian, a pro-Arabist who didn't like Israel. That is just the facts. Everyone knows this. And now that, the President Trump and David Friedman cleaned that up, now the Biden team is trying to reopen it, and they're going to start stacking it to have, exactly as you point out, Jay, this new team of trying to pressure Israel. But again, they're politicizing the State Department by having a consulate and an embassy in the same city. They need to be asked a question. If you're putting a consulate in Jerusalem, are you suggesting that the embassy is not the capital in Jerusalem?
Rick Grenell is Senior Advisor for the American Center for Law and Justice, former Acting Director of National Intelligence and Ambassador to Germany. Thanks, Rick, as always, for being with us, and thanks for your insight and helpful edits yesterday on that document going in on that Freedom of Information request. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. It says something about Rick that it's not just talking policy for us, but he's involved in our work here at the ACLJ, as is Mike Pompeo. These were great additions, and Rick was the first addition we were able to announce, and we're so thrilled that he's part of this team.